Why do you think the Raven character didn't resonate with Bischoff? He says on his podcast, 83 Weeks, that he just didn't really get it. But we all sort of got Raven, but Eric didn't. Why do you think that is?
I think it was because, like, Scotty today is a really positive guy. Like, he was a very like that. What about me? What about Raven? It really like, and most times this works for you, and Jake will attest to this. When you live the character, you know,
Yeah.
it really works for you because it's so believable. Rave really lived that part of the character, but it infiltrated into like you can't be like that backstage.
You can't do business that way.
Yeah, you can't. You can't. You know, we would argue about a lot of stuff. Early on, me and Kevin Nash, we would bust his chops so bad because he knew everything. He was really smart, but he knew everything about everything.
Yeah.
And occasionally, I would just go click, and he'd keep talking. We would completely turn it out. He goes click, like I just changed the channel, Raven. Like stop, you know.
Yeah.
And if he's talking, Nash click. Like just
He became a heat-seeking missile.
oh my
in the back.
God. Yeah, he did. But he was such a great guy. And he was so talented. And if you go back
He
to
had a great finish.
Yeah.
he had a great finish. Yeah, you know, if you go back to when I lost the US championship to him, I just got done working with for a year with Mach on top.
Right.
They put me with Kurt Hennig, and I get the US title, which was the next spot for me to go. I wanted to bring Raven and Benoit up because both of those guys I felt were world champions at some point. And
And they were.
you know, and if Rave would have, you know, right when he gets it, and we're supposed to feud and bring Benoit into everything, which we had been doing, that's when Goldberg came through. And then they were like, boom, beat Raven. But if you look at Raven got a much longer match than anybody else did
Yeah.
up till me, you know, because Raven wasn't just going to get speared, you know, and
I would have.
it was Jake. I watched Jake and Paul, Cowboy Bob Orton in Singapore. I filmed this match. I actually loaned it to Hammer, Van Hammer, and he lost it on me. But it was a match that went 58 minutes. If they took 3 bumps, it was a lot. But had the people going crazy for damn near an hour. And that's working at a different level. You know, that's a lost art. You know, I don't know if you could ever get that together again, but just it was amazing to watch and to watch the people. But I can't remember what how I bumped that up, but it was a segue of a great moment to really watch. One of my favorite matches to watch Jake in was him and DiBiase at the Garden. And when I used to do the
MSG Network. Yeah.
Yeah. And I watched at one point somebody gave Jake while we were on the road doing independence, right? Somebody gave Jake 40 tapes, 2-hour-long tapes of nothing but Jake.
Yeah.
And I just watched one from enhancement matches to that match with him and DiBiase. DiBiase doesn't get anywhere near the credit that he deserves for
Not in his order.
not what?
Neither is a Cowboy Bob.
Yeah, right. Either one of those guys. But being there, and that's another reason why Randy is so great. You know, having his dad and being able to have it'd be like me having him, you know. But Randy was 20, you know, coming in. I will never forget when I went up there first time to New York, and they said, "Listen, we want you to go to OVW. We're going to put you with a new kid, Batista, and you guys will do a match against the Taker and Kane." And when I get there, I'm talking, and I meet, and Cowboy introduces me to Randy. I said, "Hi, Randy, nice to meet you." I go, "And I go, what's your name?" He goes, "What do you mean, what's my name?" He had a cowboy hat on. I didn't even recognize Cowboy because he leaned up. I hadn't seen him in a long time. I was like, Cowboy. Give him a big hug. He's like, you keep an eye on my son up there. And
Please send my boy.
his son did okay.
Yeah.
That guy had a hell of a run, man. Hell of a run.
The match you're talking about aired on Primetime Wrestling. Ted DiBiase and Jake the Snake went 16 minutes and 16 seconds on April 24th, 1989. So look it up on the Peacock, but Madison Square Garden,
Great.
April 24th.
I thought mine was on the 23rd of April, but go ahead.
I love those little fact checkers you got going there.
Yeah.
Really amazing psychology. I mean, it was one of those matches, that, suspended disbelief. Like,
Sure.
this is real.
Steamboat and I did one in the garden too. That was pretty awesome.
Jake, you were talking about Raven. Let's skip ahead a little bit. We were originally talking about Scotty Flamingo, but the Raven character oftentimes gets lumped into your sort of style. It was a darker character. What'd you think of the Raven character?
I liked it. Even though he went with the even flow DDT, and I'm like, even flow, isn't that baby bottles? Which would piss him off. And, no, I appreciated what he did with it. I appreciated his style, man. I thought he was really getting a message out there. I mean, it's not like you would, if you watched one of his matches, you wouldn't invite him to your birthday party. But you would damn sure keep your eye on him because you didn't know what he was going to do.
Right.
There was a mystery behind it, there's substance to it. And I remember Scotty and I having a talk. We went to some establishment in Atlanta to view some things. And
There's like 67, 80 of them in this town.
yeah, and I know most of them real well. And we were leaving there, and he's like, Jake, what do you think? By this time, he went to the WWF, and they put him into the commentary thing. And he's like, man, it's not what we're doing. I said, then why are you doing it? Well, it's a job. I said, are you in it for a job?
Yeah.
Again, go back to what to be and keep your eye on the prize and be you. Because if you fail at you, then it's on you. But if you fail at what they want you to do, you never had your shot. Well, how close do you have to be to get your shot? You had the microphone in your hand. Go with it.
That's again, that goes back to what we talked about. I think it was last week. We talked about Jake saying, you got to take control of your own destiny.
Yeah.
And then later on, me saying to him, dude, you need to change what you're doing. You need to stop wearing those negative shirts that you see every day. You look in the mirror, you see wasted youth.
Yeah.
And then he came back with that T-shirt that he designed, which people could get that T-shirt. One of the huge things zipping forward now to when we were in the accountability crib, when he came up with, my history is not my destiny. There was a point in time where Jake he was doing really great, and the shoulder just went out.
Gosh.
And people don't understand, like our shoulders, our knees, our back, our necks, some of us, like I do a lot to keep myself being mobile. And when Jake was on that run of working at the crib with me, that shoulder went out, man. Now he's finally there. And it was a depression that hit him
Oh my God.
hard, that he couldn't. Now I'm finally really doing this. I'm putting the work in it. Now this goes.
But that addiction was screaming in my ear. See, I told you you're a piece of shit.
Yeah, you're never going to do it. This is never going to happen.
Do it.
What are you thinking that
You're a
you should
cripple.
be? You should be. You're going to do what? You're going to turn your life around. You're never going to turn your life around.
Let's get high.
And that's the negative emotional stuff that people do to themselves all the time. I deal with so many different people, and the emotional gravity of pulling themselves down. That repetition of that affirmation, that's negative. Well, it works the other way too. And this was the magic that was you, the people out there. Because when Jake needed this, Steve U, and you'll hear us mention Steve U a lot. He's the president of my company.
Not always in a good way.
Always in a good way. We might be aggravated about it. We'll still
Get much more.
but he is the yin and the yang me and him together. Like couldn't have done it without him and Linda. Like he said, it took a village to do it, to get Jake to where he was going. But when it came down to the emotional gravity of pulling yourself down, I found a way. Well, actually, I didn't find a way. Steve, that's why I brought this up. Steve said, "Why don't we do a GoFundMe?"
Yep.
I never really heard of any of that stuff. Back then, it was called Kickstarter, the one that we went with. Indiegogo. Thanks, Steve. Indiegogo. So Jake's like, "Oh man, I don't know what to say. I don't, because again, you feel so worthless and so unwhole." And I'm like, "Listen, bro, just say what you feel." Like I get choked up just thinking about that moment because it was so real.
This is such a huge moment in my recovery too.
Humongous. And it was just him, reaching out. And for it wasn't like send me money. It was pictures and video, Zoom calls before there were Zoom calls. It was the T-shirt, it was the DVD, there was all these different packages you could buy. If you go back, Jake's autograph minimum is $40. For that, it was like 15. So it was a special moment. There was like between Scott and Jake, there were over 4,000 people that donated. And if you watch the resurrection of Jake the Snake, at the end of it, the credits, you'll see all 4,000 plus names up there of the people who helped out. But letting him see that the people cared.
My daughter was there, and it was such a huge moment because she was there too. And I didn't know anything about this Indiegogo crap or people, actually helped us. So I'm like, who's going to help me? Look at me. Look at what I am. Why would anybody give me that? And they said, yeah, we'll have it up there for a month. Hopefully we can raise enough money to have your surgery because I didn't have any insurance. I didn't have anything going for me. I just knew that I was done, man. I figured I was on the way out the door. And the next day, 24 hours, we had already reached what I needed.
Yeah.
And I literally shut myself. I couldn't believe that many people really cared about it.
Oh, it's fucking real.
Where we at? Holy 7,000. It wasn't right.
7,000 out of 9,200.
It still blows me away, man. It blew my daughter away. She's like, Dad, look, people do care about you. We do love you. And
sorry. Well, that's the magic of what the resurrection of Jake the Snake is really about. It's people really caring about people because that's what helps people start to feel worthy,